we are rolling on Thursday, October 26th here at UCLA, where it's a beautiful day in Los Angeles, despite these noisy students in the hall. The sunshine is shining less brightly, and Tess stands before us, managing attention, looking around the room, making sure all computers are closed, phones are away, all eyeballs are upon you. Take a half step forward. You look like you're fearing the audience a little when you're so close to the screen. Say to yourself, I respect my audience. You really mean it. Finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name, feel the love. Start your speech.
Hi, my name is Tess.
Hi, Tess.
I'm sure we've all done something or had a person that we just wish we could forget. Wish that like our memories of them could just fade away and just like go away, and you can just like have a free mind and like not have to think of them ever again. Now, what if I told you that there was a machine that could erase this memory of that person, and you would just never have to lie in bed again and think of all those times, the memories spent or the moments with them, and you would just have a blank mind? Well, in the movie Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, my favorite film, there's a machine, and the movie is plot driven by it, and it basically can erase the memory of a person. Now, this movie caused me to feel a variety of emotions, first beginning with happiness, then emptiness, and finally I felt content. Laura Beedling of University of Wisconsin-Platteville stated in her movie review that this movie shows both the invisible yet structuring role of technology in the modern contemporary world. Now, while I do agree with this statement, I find that the movie showed more of a theme of romantic reality. The first emotion that this movie made me feel was happiness. Now, the scene that made me feel happy was when Clementine and Joel, the main characters of this film, were lying down on a frozen lake and just staring up at the sky at constellations and just laughing and talking and having a good time. This brought me back to a memory of me and my ex-boyfriend, and we were outside an outdoor movie theater just laying down on the grass and staring up at the sky, laughing and talking and just having a good time. This honeymoon phase, the start of something new, is what triggered this happiness within me. Now, the second emotion that this film made me feel was emptiness. The scene that brought this to me was when Joel had his memories of he found out that Clementine had her memories of him erased. So he was hurt and sad, so he decided he would go get his erased. Now, when he was lying down unconscious and the company was doing their job and just picking out those memories, you could see him reliving those with her and realizing that not just the bad memories were being erased, but the good ones as well. And because of this, they were just being ripped from him, and you can tell that he was just struggling to keep them, even though what he wanted to begin with was just to forget her. This brought me back to a time when it was a few months after me and my ex-boyfriend broke up, and I was just feeling really hurt because I heard he was saying awful things about me, just really mean things, and that just made me feel really bad. So I got together stuff that he had given me, a t-shirt, teddy bear, notes, a card, pictures, and I just put it in a box. I went to the beach with my friend, and we had a nice little bonfire. Now, burning all of that stuff and trying to get rid of the material memories of him, it did help. It made me feel good at first, but I still felt empty because burning it just would never make me feel whole, just as Joel getting rid of his memories of her would never make him feel whole again. Now, the third emotion this movie made me feel was content. So, after Joel's memories of Clementine are deleted, he can never get those back again. However, they do end up meeting again. So Clementine and Joel, they're just destined to be together. They're just, even though they forgot each other, they met again, and that made me feel content because my mom, this brought me back to a time where my mom told me that everything happens for a reason. Everything that we go through, like every person we meet, like everything is meant to happen. And this just made me feel content and hopeful because everything that will be. And so in conclusion, this movie made me feel so many emotions. It made me feel happy, it made me feel empty, but it also made me feel content because I just learned that everything that is supposed to happen will happen. Thank you.
Okay, we start with Sydney Tuesday, so let's start on this side today.
Hi, Brianna.
Hi, Brianna.
I thought your stories are really interesting, and I also saw how you made your personal connection. I thought that was really good.
Stories were interesting.
Hi,
Improvement.
Laura.
Hi,
I
Laura.
really liked your speech, especially the middle parts, but I feel like your conclusion could have been a little stronger.
Yeah. Good. Well, Tess, liked your speech. You knew it. You spoke without notes, and that was excellent. Stayed in the power stance. Moved 3 times. That was very good. You seem confident up there, so that's all really good. Let me suggest some technical details that will help you. When I give you a prompt, I want you to put all 7 Roman numeral parts down on the page. You gave me more long paragraphs. And you did have your Chicago footnote correctly, which I value and appreciate, so thank you so much. And you did have your quote, which you agreed with, so that was fine. What happens though usually, and which is why I like to have it, all the parts there, is that some parts get left out, and when you got down to your conclusion, we didn't get a real strong conclusion. We didn't get a tie back to the beginning about how you wish that you could erase certain people. What was the time?
4:19.
4:19. So you had about a good minute if you wanted to use it. Well, you started with lying in your bed. I guess we'll call this a personal story, and you segued into this wonderful film by Jim Carrey, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. He's done some wonderful films, and that was a good segue to what it was, and you told us that it made you feel happy, empty, and content. So far, so good. You had the quote. I would have liked to have just a little bit more of the essence of the quote related to the audience a little bit more, and selling it a little bit more to the audience and saying why those issues are significant to them. On your first emotion, happiness, which you had your third thing in your emotions, right? But you finally had it here. In any case, I'm just going to skip over your plot summary, which was a little bit long, and I would like to see you increase the length of your personal story. I thought this was your best story when you said you were with your ex-boyfriend. Unfortunately, he was an ex. That's a little bit from the story. But you were lying in an outdoor movie theater. Did I not turn off my phone? Probably not. And you felt happy. I would have liked some elaboration on that so that we could have more of a sense of why you were so happy and looking at the stars and that would have been great. And remember, we want to end on the word happy and then pivot on to, but besides happy, sadly, I also felt empty. See, so that brings the narrative out and makes it more prominent, makes it easier for your audience to follow. You were hurt by your boyfriend saying mean things to others about you, so you did the best thing you could do, which was get all the things that he had given you and go to the ocean and burn them. Yeah, that's great. And you had hoped to get some catharsis from this, but as you reported, you still felt kind of empty. Right? So that was an interesting story and a vivid story, and that was good. I wanted you to again say, I still felt empty, but besides empty, I felt content. Remember the pivot, folks. It's something I want you all to do. It's too late for tests, but not for the rest of you to remember to pivot. Uncontent. You quoted your mother that talked about everything happens for a reason, and you've accepted that as a philosophy of life, and that has given you a certain amount of peace. It's sort of que sera, sera, whatever will be, and there's a reason for it. You're just saying, well, it was meant to happen. So what I didn't hear was, and that's why I can now feel content. You called it a conclusion, but you gave a summary, so I want you to not mislabel it, and that's why I had you asked that you label summary, conclusion, and tieback. And you had the three different ways: happy, empty, and content. So you had the summary in there, and then there needs to be that quote of your main thesis, which is there's no doubt in the room, and say the name of the movie again, that this film really did move me, and then tie back to, so when you're lying in your bed hoping to erase somebody from the existence of your life, you probably can't do it, but at least you could watch a film that will vicariously help you to do it. So I recommend you go watch the film Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Okay? I'm looking for your kanais. Are they written in? Are they nowhere, somewhere? Did you forget them? What were they? And once again, I'll repeat, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the page, if you don't have a kanai, write them in now. 3 things about your speech that you wanted to work on and improve.
I think one was making more eye contact.
Uh-huh. Okay.
The other one, I think, was just like stating it like clearly, like my main point, like in the beginning, like being like straight about it. And then I think the other one was like better movement, because when I noticed in the video, like it just kind of looked like nervous.
Mm-hmm. Walk smoothly. Mm-hmm. Okay, good. You seem to walk pretty smoothly. One thing I would say is when you're over here and eyeballing this side of the room more closely, still glance over at Sydney so she's not blown off completely. But glance and look back, see? So overall, and you had a nice film review from the deep internet that you presented.
The review was like 13 pages, so I just printed the part where like...
That's fine. And you had a nice Chicago-style bibliography at the end. Very nice test. Thank you. Okay. It's now time for the C's.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
I still need to go, and I'm a B.
Oh, you're a B? Oh, how did we skip you? What's your name?
Nolan?
Nolan Ryan?
Yeah.
What's your last name?
Telabogi?
Telaboki?
No. Telabogi.
How do you spell it? How do you spell it?
D-E.
Oh, Della Bovi?
Yeah.
Oh. How did I skip you?
I don't know.
Saved by the bell, huh?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Guess he needs the green meanie too, huh? Okay, another B. Guess you couldn't draw a line down there, huh? Did you use Word?
Huh?
Did you use Word to do your...
Yes.
Your hands out of your pocket. Yeah. Let me adjust. You're a little bit taller. You're standing right at the screen as if you're afraid of your audience. So one step forward, please. That's good. That's better. Don't break the audience's bubble, but do come closer. Don't hold all the way back to the wall. That looks like you're afraid. Nolan stands in the power position. Sydney finally puts her phone down. Managing the tension, making sure all eyeballs are upon you. Finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name. Feel the love. Start your speech.
Hi, I'm Nolan.
Hi, Nolan.
So, many people in life, they always try and find somewhere they belong. Whether it's to an organization or just something that makes them happy. So, the movie I decided to, give a speech about was The Nightmare Before Christmas. Great movie for this time of year. So, this movie made me feel tired, it made me feel agitated, and it made me feel hopeful. So, I believe her name is Jeanette Maslin of the New York Times, said that basically you come for this movie for the creepiness, the wickedness, but you don't really stay for the story. I disagree with her. So, the first way this movie made me feel, tired. And I don't mean tired as I need to go to sleep. So, for me, in the movie, the whole town, they've just finished their big Halloween celebration that they do every year. And nothing really changes. But this time, there's something off with the main character, Jack, who is a giant skeleton, as you may know. So he goes into the graveyard and just basically sings how tired he is every single year of doing the same thing over and over again. And I can relate to this because in my life, I have been playing football for a long time, about 12 years. And over that time, it gets really tired doing the same thing over and over again. Waking up, at 5 in the morning to go work out, go hit people for 2.5 hours, then go to a game and do it some more. So that's why I could really connect to this, It's just, you're doing something for so long that you feel really tired. The second way this movie made me feel agitated. At this point in the movie, Jack has just come back from Christmas Town, he wants to do something new this year, something completely different. And I can relate to that because though, I've been doing football for so long, I just need to try something new, something different. And I can't figure out what it is. Everyone's kind of been there like they want to do something, but they can't figure out what exactly it is. So then, long story short, Jack ends up figuring out after however long it was. Well, this kind of brings me to my final point. Hope. So, they've just come back. Jack has been doing his thing with Christmas. He took over Christmas, and it's gone pretty bad. So then the military decides to shoot him down. Pretty excessive, but whatever. So then as he's laying in the cemetery, that he's just laying in, he's thinking about like, oh, how much he's messed this up. Then he comes to the realization that something that he worked so hard at and that he's really good at, which is scaring people, Halloween, his bread and butter, and this gave him hope in the movie to go and do what he does that he loves, that he just realized. And this reminds me of my life because, so if you aren't familiar with recruiting in high school with sports, basically, as soon as your junior year is over and you start your senior year, you kind of lose hope of going anywhere on scholarship. So for me, I can relate to this because my senior year, I had nothing going for me. So me and my buddy who played next to me all year, we decided we had a talk. It's like, all right, nothing's going on for us, so let's just, go out, have a great time, do what we need to do. And this gave me hope. It let me play more freely, let me do what I need to do on the field. And luckily for me, at the end of the season, I got a call from UCLA saying, hey, if you can make it, we'd love for you to walk on and play. Long story short, I no longer play. That's whatever. So, at the end of it all, I think that the person who reviewed the movie, I can't remember her name, I'm sorry.
Janet Maslin.
Janet Maslin. I completely disagree with her because this movie, the story, it moved me. It made me feel tired. It made me feel agitated. And it made me feel hopeful. So, in conclusion, yes, Jack was tired, agitated, but he found hope in doing something he loved. He found where he belonged in life. Thank you.
Okay, we're going down the row. There's a pattern there. So what did you like about Nolan's speech?
All right. Well, hello, I'm Matthew.
Hi, Matthew.
I liked your speech. It was very, it was like your story was almost being told through the story of this guy at the same time, which is kind of neat. And you walked around good, and you didn't halt too much when you were talking. I mean, there were times where, of course, you would pause, but it was pretty good, I thought. And you were right on time, too. So
Thank you.
yes.
What was the time?
It was 5:11.
Nice.
5:11, yeah. Great, very nice. Improvement, please.
My name is Iris.
Hi, Iris.
Hi, Iris. Real loud speech communication voice, Iris.
I think your speech was good. The only thing I can think of that you can improve was maybe what he said, like the pauses,
All right.
or like you looked down a couple times, but
Okay, Nolan. Just to remind Nolan and everyone else for the next few speeches, you have choices, rhetorical choices on how to start a speech. A poem, a quote, a story, a joke, a rhetorical question.
All right.
And you chose an observation.
Yeah.
Right? And you said at some point in our lives we feel the need to belong to a group or an organization or something to call our own, or we're not truly happy. So you claim we are group people. That's your observation, right?
Yes.
And then you went into the idea that you are going to share with us a film that really moved you, The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yes.
Yeah. So, a couple of things. One, I would have liked to have had a better tie back to your personal observation
All right.
in the end. So you could say something like, in the beginning, you'll recall I told you that people need to belong, and now that you've heard my speech and my need to belong to the football team and other situations, I think you'll agree that the need to belong is powerful. Okay? Something like that. Good. On the thesis, The Nightmare Before Christmas, you called it tired, agitated, and hopeful. Well done. We knew exactly what you were going to do. Don't hesitate to give it a little extra oomph with your voice. So we know that those are going to be the three parts to your main body. You quoted Janet Maslin from the New York Times, really an old and famous reviewer. She's been reviewing a long time. She reviewed the film that I co-wrote and also gave it a negative review, so I know her well.
What was that?
It's called Listen to Me. In any case, The Nightmare Before Christmas, you got the quote down, and you basically said you disagree with her because you said it was more to the movie than what she said was there.
Yes.
And that was fine. You had your Chicago citation on the first page. Remember to draw a line above your footnoting. On the main body, you told us that you felt tired, not in the traditional sense. You told us the story of the movie. And then it reminded you of football.
Yes.
And you've been doing it 12 years, and it's over and over and over again, and you get up at 5 in the morning, blah, 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 and hit people and do drills and all that sort of thing, which you elaborated on nicely. The only thing that I wanted you to do was, and in doing all these things over and over again, it reminds me, like the character in the movie, I feel tired. So get the felt sensing. Remember how tired you have felt, you do feel, refill it again, and say it at the end.
All right.
So then you pivot, Nolan. Besides tired, I felt agitated, just like that with your voice.
All right.
So it's easier to follow. You told us a little quick story from the movie, which was good. It was nice and short. And then you told us about the idea that you were feeling out of sorts because you were a senior and no one had chosen you to come to the ball, shall we say, to play the game. And so this was sad. Now, did you tell the UCLA story here or in the Hope part?
In the Hope part.
In the Hope part.
Yeah.
So this is, and you say, so I was feeling very, agitated and unsure of what I was going to do, since football had been my life and my wife for 12 years, from Pop Warner to blah, 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 you know. So, yeah. So then you want to say, besides feeling agitated, I also felt hope. Then you had a brief comment in the movie about what happened there. And then you talked about the scholarship, and you said the call came from UCLA to allow you to be a walk-on.
Yeah.
And you decided to be a walk-on, and
Yes.
here you are. So great. So you needed to repeat at the end of that, and that's why that call gave me hope, and that offer gave me hope. So repeat for your audience what emotion you're saying and repeating. Your summary was fine. Your conclusion was non-existent. You needed to say, in conclusion, there should be no doubt in this room that the film blank really did move me. That's your thesis, right? How did it move you? 3 ways. But move me was the main point. And then I told you needed a tie back. You had a good bibliography in Chicago style, and you have your film review from the New York Times from the deep internet. So overall, good job, except for a few of those things. One other thing I want you to notice when you watch yourself tonight on YouTube, watch your hands and clasping them and coming together. Just let them be by your side more and gesture naturally, okay? But overall, nice job, Nolan. Okay. Any more B's? Okay. Let's go to the C's. I'd like to first hear from Oriana. Is Oriana in the house? Yes, she is. Very good. Yeah. Hi, Oriana.
Hi, you can see a staple.
Okay, well, that's why I've got the green mini. Okay, Chicago style, nice. Canais, nice. And reference list, good. Okay, it wasn't essential, it wasn't asked for, but you didn't Xerox your film review, right? Okay. Oriana stands before you. Your hands on your hips look a little aggressive, so put them down by your side. Just let them be by your side and swing naturally. You are looking around the room, managing attention, making sure all eyeballs are on you. No one's texting or reading. You say to yourself, I respect my audience, finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name, feel the love, start your speech.
Hi everyone, I'm Oriana.
Hi, Oriana.
When we run, we own the earth. The land is ours. Our spirits fly. We're not immigrants no more. No stupid Mexicans. This is a quote from the movie that I'd like to share with you guys that really moved me, McFarland USA. This is a film that truly moved me. It made me feel sympathetic. It made me feel thankful and victorious. Carrie Weber from American Magazine stated that this film was highly predictable and that you could watch it knowing that good would win and the odds would be defeated in the end, and that the hills would be overcome. So the first emotion that I mentioned that I felt was sympathy. And this was evoked by one of the first scenes in the movie, which was when Coach is driving by some fields and he sees one of the students running with his backpack on towards school. He had just spent his entire morning doing agricultural labor at the fields. And this made me think of where I come from. So I come from a Mexican migrant working family. My dad is obviously a field laborer, and my mom was a housekeeper. But since I'm a girl, they never accepted that I would work to help out the family, so my responsibilities were just school and family. So this made me think of my years in high school whenever I would have to take care of my little brother every morning. So I would have to wake up extra early to get him ready to go to school. I would have to cook for him, get his clothes ready, walk him to school, which was the opposite direction of where my high school was. And then the next 40 minutes, I would have to walk myself to school. I would take my track bags, my backpack, and then my binder with all my assignments in one arm. And I remember feeling like it was such a big responsibility for me. And it made me feel like I was doing twice as much work as a lot of the kids out there that could literally just wake up and have everything done for them and just go to school. But besides thinking of those things that I didn't have, the movie made me feel thankful for what I did have. So there's this scene in the movie where the coach takes the entire team to the beach because none of them have seen the ocean before. And it made me think of the time when I did watch this movie was when our coach took the entire team to watch the movie in theaters. And I couldn't help but be thankful that we had such a good supporting coach and that we were so close together in that team that we were all very supportive towards each other and kind of helped us attain each other's goals. So this leads me to the next emotion that I felt, which was victorious. So as the reviewer mentioned, the movie is highly predictable, so we know that it had a happy ending, we know that they won their state meet, and that the worst member on the team helped them obtain that victory. And it made me think of this story that our coach would tell the freshmen and the new members of cross country and track every year. Referring to me, he would tell them every year, "She was terrible. She looked worse than any of you that are joining the team. I wasn't even sure she could walk. I tried to make her a thrower instead of a runner, but she persisted. And now she's the captain of the team, and now she's one of the top in the league." And he wasn't exaggerating. I was terrible. I was running 10-minute miles, and by my junior year, I was doing 6-minute miles, and I started winning. And I couldn't help but feel so victorious watching this movie because it is a movie about going against all the odds and just beating all of the people's expectations on you. So, to conclude, I'd like to bring us back to the first quote that I mentioned in the introduction. When we run, we own the earth. The land is ours. What I learned from this movie was that the land truly is yours to take. Whether you come from any sort of background or no matter your abilities, the land is always yours to take. And like the reviewer said, the hills will always be overcome with work. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you like?
Hi, I'm Sam.
Hi, Sam.
I really enjoyed your speech and how it was tightly interwoven. The various emotions it made you feel and your personal stories were. I felt like it flowed really easily from point to point. Didn't feel choppy at all.
Improvement.
I'm Kyler.
Hi, Kyler.
I definitely agree with Sam. I think the only thing is maybe like moving around a little more. And then I think you cut the summary just like a little short. So that was it. Yeah.
Rihanna. Like your speech. I like your opening. It reminded me of this movie, What What Men Like or What Women Like or something with Mel Gibson and some other woman where they did this Nike commercial in it. And they really persuaded people with these quotes about running and how there's no one to dress up for, and you own that time and it's yours. And so I like those kinds of quotes, and you know, I thought that grabbed your audience's attention nicely. I didn't get why it was necessary to say we're not stupid Mexicans when we run, but I guess you felt that was important to put in there. You tie back to that well. Yeah. So you understood that concept nicely. The thesis preview for your movie McFarlane USA needed to be emphasized a little bit more with your voice. So we had a real clear idea that it wasn't just a city somewhere, but it was the name of your movie. And sympathetic, thankful, and victorious. Jump out at your audience so you know that's how they're going to be able to follow you. You quoted Carrie Weber in America magazine, and who said, "Good will win out and the hills will overcome." Did you remember to say, "And I agree with her"? Yeah, we always are going to say after we give a quote whether we agree or disagree with it. So you wrote it, but I don't think you said it. And so you knew that that was part of the assignment. So let's just remember that. On your main body, I'd like to see your movement be a little bit more focused. I'd like to see you move not in the beginning of your speech the way you did, but get through all the introductory material and then go the first way the film moved me, 3 steps to the right, the second way the film moved me, 5 steps to the left, and then third way back to center of the room. When you watch yourself tonight on YouTube, you'll see you immediately walk right during your introduction and your thesis. You started to pace a little bit. So be aware of your walking and try to do it purposefully so it matches your pattern of organization. Well, you said the film made you feel sympathetic. And you told stories about the movie, and then you're like the character in the movie, you told stories about your own life. What I didn't get so much was at the end of it, and that's why I felt like the character sympathetic. So return to the emotion you're trying to communicate. Remember to feel it, re-feel it as you're telling the audience about it. It's called felt sensing. So we'll feel it too. I didn't really feel it. I thought you were just sort of laying the facts out and letting us infer that they were kind of painful and bad, but I didn't really get you feeling it and remembering it. Your second emotion was that you said you felt thankful for what you had. And here you talked about your coach taking you to the movie theater. And again, that was a good story, but again, I needed to have a link to say, and that's why I felt thankful that I had such a devoted coach. Okay? But besides feeling thankful, I also felt victorious. See, learned to pivot. What was the time, by the way?
It was 4:25.
4:25. Great. So on victorious, you told us the story of the coach essentially singling you out as a basket case as a freshman or an 8th grader who walked the cross-country course but was very determined and finally started winning and going from 12-minute miles to 6-minute miles. And it was a good story. What you didn't do is then when he reminded other students of what I accomplished, I felt victorious. See? Bring it back to the emotion you're feeling so we feel it too. You skipped the summary, you skipped the conclusion, and you went right to the tieback. Okay. I'm glad you printed them and typed them in. They were wonderful conclusions, and you had the right conclusion. There should be no doubt in this room. The only thing you didn't have was the film title, but it was a good conclusion. Let's speak about your canais. You said you wanted to have good articulation, no filler words, and clear connection between your story and your emotions. How'd it go?
Not the last one. I don't think that one was good.
Yeah. But do you know now how to better connect with your emotions, I hope?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And what about filler words?
I don't know. I don't notice those that much. I hope I didn't use them.
2 words? Okay, good. Thank you, Oriana. Okay. That will bring us to...
Can I volunteer? Or not?
well, sure. Yeah, I guess. Why not? Yeah. I was okay. Let me just tell you who's on deck.
All right.
Roberto.
Here.
Oh, the big 0. Okay.
So it works out.
Big 0. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's hear a volunteer. Are you a C?
I am a C.
Okay.
I'm kidding. I'm just trying to remember this quote. Okay. Yes. Okay, so here's my film review. And I got it from ProQuest.
ProQuest.
Yes.
Yeah, we love that. Yeah.
And, okay.
Oh, it's not good.
All right.
Smelling it for its authenticity.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, she's texting. Put the phone away. Told you no texting in class. What could be more important than this class? Darling, I love you. Come on. You can tell them, at 12 o'clock, at 2 o'clock. Yeah, thank you. Oh, my God. Okay. Matthew stands before you in the power stance. Feet a little bit wider. Oh, I've got to correct the film. Yes. Managing attention. Communicating respect nonverbal. Finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name. Feel the love. Start your speech.
Alright, hello, I'm Matthew.
Hi, Matthew.
Alright. So it isn't often that we find a film with a strong, leading female protagonist. Moreover, it's even more uncommon to have the same strong female protagonist saving men from themselves. Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman was a different take on what a superhero film could be like. As Andrew Barker of Variety says, Wonder Woman Oh my goodness, my quote. Okay.
Provides a welcome respite.
Yes. Wonder Woman provides a welcome respite from DC's house style of grim darkness. Boisterous, earnest, sometimes sloppy, yet consistently entertaining. With Gal Gadot being an inspired choice for the Amazonian way, truth, and justice. So I tend to agree with this quote because Gal Gadot was really a major part of this film, and her character traits in the film caused me to overlook some of the sloppy parts, as Barker mentioned, and its ultimate hopeful message was really inspiring. Okay, so the first thing I felt when I watched this movie was it caused me to laugh. Alright, so I'll preface my story with this. This story probably wasn't funny when it originally happened, but now, after all these years later, it made me laugh. So, when my grandmother first came to America in about 1970, she came to Albany, New York, to be a kindergarten teacher. So my grandmother is kind of an innocent, naive sort of person. So she didn't realize that the visa requirements said that she could only work with a company that sponsored her. So she got a secondary job with a kids camp. And what happened was she got a call from the immigration services, and they threatened to deport her if she didn't cancel her job. And she was so scared. She had no idea what she was going to do in a strange country alone. And thank goodness she dropped the job really fast, and she wasn't deported. So I thought, yeah, that just made me laugh, and it sounds kind of cruel, but it's kind of funny. So second of all, this film made me feel, oh, and that was because Wonder Woman, she came to London for the first time, and she had no idea about the customs of the place. She wanted to wear her very skimpy outfit in the middle of the street, and people were like looking at her and getting embarrassed. And so that's what reminded me of that. And my second point is this film caused me to feel very appalled and horrified. And this was when, in the middle of the movie, Wonder Woman ran into a village that had been completely wiped out by gas and toxic agents, and so all of the people were dead. And she was really horrified, and she didn't know what to do. She was confronted with this blatant evil that she had never experienced before in her life. And I feel this way very often when I'm reading the news and I see what horrible things people do to each other. And, you know, between killings, genocides, deaths, and one story in particular I remember is when this little girl was just totally taken advantage of by people, other kids who should be innocent, and she was just, and I called up one of my friends, I'm like, I don't even know what to do anymore, like if this world has become a place like this. Yeah, I felt really disillusioned. Lastly, in another part of this film, at the end, Wonder Woman was determined that she would stop the evil by killing this one German general. And when she killed him, she realized that he wasn't the cause of the evil in the first place, and what she had fought so hard to destroy was actually the wrong thing. And this reminded me of a time when I was convinced I was right, that I had turned in an assignment on time, and my teacher said, no, you didn't, and she gave me a failing grade, and my class grade was an F, and I was like disheartened, but I was like, I turned that assignment in, and I know I did, so I told her so, and I fought for myself, and then she proved to me I turned in the assignment late, and I felt so embarrassed and disillusioned. I was like, I thought, I was convinced I knew it was right, and in the end, it wasn't at all. So overall, this film caused me to feel laughter with my grandmother and her misfortune coming to America, disillusioned when all the evil that goes on in the world, and eventually embarrassed when I was convinced I was right and I actually wasn't. This film provides, in conclusion, this film provides a very interesting take on the traditional superhero film, like I said in the beginning, and its choice of a strong leading female protagonist saving the world from men can show that this genre can actually be very, it can connect with the audience in a way that other darker films, as Barker said earlier, are seen as trite and overused. So, thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and that is my speech.
What'd you like?
Hi, my name's Olivia.
Hi, Olivia.
I think when you you did your introduction and you said the thing about how rare it is to have a strong female character, like, I could see it out of the corner of my eye and I could feel it, like, all the women in the room got it. And I think that's the strongest reaction I've seen so far to anyone's intro. So I think that's part of knowing your audience, knowing that this class is more than half women. You know, it's a lot of women, so, like, just really kind of tapping into that, and that really resonated with a lot of us.
Improvement.
And I'm Maris.
Hi, Maris.
I don't know, I think it was pretty good. You stutter a little bit
Yeah.
sometimes, so I think you can, like, I don't think you have to make your thoughts catch up with your words. Just,
Yeah.
like, take your time, because none of us notice, like, none of us know what you're going to say, so we don't know whether you're, like, going by the script or not, so you don't have to worry
Alright.
about, like, keeping up with what's exactly, like, on your outline.
Okay.
Okay. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Yes. I liked your speech. I liked your confidence. Your walking was vigorous.
Okay.
I would have liked you to have returned to the center on your third step instead of where you did go to, but small point. Your intro was excellent, and it got the attention of men and women that are concerned about the Hollywood situation where a disproportionate number of men run it and control it and abuse it. And so you point out it was really refreshing and nice to have a female protagonist that actually saved men from themselves and was, as you put it, inspiring and compelling plot as well. So it was a good observation that was well adapted to your audience. So good thinking there. Your thesis, was good. You said it caused you to laugh, feel appalled, horrified, ultimately depressed and disillusioned. So you really laid it all out there. And I wasn't sure how you were going to handle that, but you did. You had a little trouble with your Andrew Barker quote from Variety, but you got through it fine. And you said you agreed with his assessment. And that was fine, so you fulfilled that part of the assignment nicely. And you had some added information that related the speech content to your audience. So you understood what a significant statement is supposed to do. Good. On your first feelings, laugh, you forgot the plot summary of the first one, which was you sort of doubled back and tried to get it, but so you went right to your story of your, I guess, grandmother, and who took a second job, nasty her, and they said they were going to make her a deportee, and she was very scared, so she quit her job, a second job. And you managed to tell it in such a way that, looking back on it, it was kind of funny, but I imagine at the time it wasn't so funny to her. let us remember the pivot. Besides feeling laughter and happiness, I also was a little horrified and appalled when I watched the movie. See? Make your narrative come alive. Here you did have some plot summary, and here you talked about your saying the world kind of sucks and I'm disillusioned with it if that's the way it is, and so forth. Yeah. Yes, that's, that's one way to look at it anyway. So yeah. On your last emotion, again, I needed a pivot from the second to the third. And I thought your story about fighting your teacher and admitting that you were really wrong, even though you thought you were right, took a big man to tell the story, because a little embarrassing that you were so adamant you were right when you were wrong. We all have had this experience where we were sure of something and we're not correct. So humility is often a good quality in these types of situations. Your summary was fine. Your conclusion was okay. And your tie back was excellent. You tied back to the situation you alluded to in the beginning about Wonder Woman being a breath of fresh air when all the movies, all the Marvel comic books, everything, they're all men, superheroes, and so forth. Yeah. Your canais use pitch, rate to emphasize points. More emphatic style of delivery, I guess we'd call it that. Walk around and gesticulate better. Don't use vocalized pauses and filler words. How'd it go?
Well, I think that I was good in varying my pitch because there were times where I would talk faster and slower. So I think that was good, and I hope it was not distracting at least.
No.
And I tried to walk around. I did, but I kind of walked around probably too much. And I think I gesticulated. I don't remember. So.
Okay. One thing I would like to say just about your ending is if you can come to an ending that ends your speech with your tie back and you don't have to finally say, well, and that's all, folks, and thank you very much, and, have a good day. Just end your speech on a more powerful note. That's much better. I would still work on vocal variety and watch for your filler words, but they were better. So you did a good job.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Are you a B?
I'm a C.
A C. What's your name?
Natalie Hines.
Natalie Hines. Wait a minute. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Matthew P. Let me cross him off. Matthew P. What's your last name?
Hines, Hynes.
Natalie?
Yep.
Okay. Oh,